I got my annual email the other day about going into the jungle.
Oh,
I get it every year.
Ah.
Yeah, I got it again the other day, and I thought, oh my God.
Would you not do... What would you do the Bear Grylls? See that? Have you watched it yet?
Yeah, I get that a bit more.
Yeah, because I found that quite entertaining. It was entertaining rather than spiders. And
yeah, that's it. I would be the one that's saying, I'm out. Get me out of here.
Yeah.
And then it's not fun. That's funny for 2 or 3 times, and then it becomes annoying.
I saw somebody describe it, said, I'm outsidey but not outdoorsy. And I was like, that's me. I like a nice walk.
Yeah.
I like a little bit of nature and scenery.
Yeah. But not thousands of cockroaches.
Talk about outdoorsy, right? So we get back home yesterday. There has been a pigeon massacre in my back garden. What? In the middle of London, this is now, in a small garden.
It's a nightmare.
So we were all there was blood everywhere.
Oh, right.
Feathers everywhere. And I thought, this is a prop. This isn't just like a attack and a run thing. This poor pigeon has been properly, brutally slaughtered.
By another pigeon.
So, well, this is it. So then, of course, my little girl was going, well, maybe, and she's thinking of all these lovely fairy tale endings to what happened to this. And I'm thinking, this poor thing is headless somewhere. And anyway, then we carry on looking out, and I'm thinking it must be a fox because we have a fox come in and out. This massive bird of prey came into our garden like a kite or a hawk, whatever one of those.
What?
Swooped down, went into where the remains of the pigeon were, carried on eating it, and was throwing it around the garden. We, the 3 of us, were like, I've never seen anything like it in central London. And then I went to open the door and it flew off and dropped what was left. It came back this morning and got it.
What?
It was an actual massive, you know, that you see above the motorway when you're driving up the M1.
See, I don't watch all the David Attenborough programmes. I hate all, you know, when they're like, and you know when you see like a lion stalking its prey and stuff. I can't deal with the tension. The actual gruesome. I'm not very good at things like that.
So my 2 were very upset about this yesterday. Yeah. I couldn't it was just there to be seen, and then we'd watch Lion King at the weekend, and I kept going, but that's what the daddy meant about the circle of life, because that bird of prey also has wee babies to feed, and I was trying to make it back into.
And what did you do with the massacre? How did you?
Oh, I haven't sort of hosed a bit of the blood, and the feathers are everywhere.
Oh,
I'm talking an absolute mess. I've never seen anything like it. Poor pigeon.
You know, we've got good hearts and we just want the best for the football club. When it's yours as well, you're living and breathing it. It's not just something that you ever switch off from.
You are ultra feminine, and I think go into that really masculine world. You can very easily be underestimated.
It's like Ted Lasso, isn't it?
Is there ever a point where you just thought, enough is enough?
Yeah. Every day. I don't think it's healthy for the football club to change managers all the time.
I agree.
I think it's...
What if like a mega bucks billionaire came in and wanted to buy Mansfield? How would you feel then?
I mean, you'd take the call. Hello, I'm Kelly Cates. Welcome to Not Just Football, part of the Overlap Network, brought to you by Sky Bet. As always, Hayley McQueen is here, Christine Lampard is here, and we're also joined by the CEO of Mansfield Town FC, Carolyn Radford. Carolyn, we worked out before we came on, we were sort of brought up not far away from each other at all in the Northwest.
Yes.
So Chorley, home of the Game Bird pub on a Sunday night.
It is, I know, yeah.
But you're younger than me, so you didn't quite, you missed the glory years of the
I did,
of the Game
I
Bird.
know, but I've heard about them.
Yes.
I've heard about the legendary establishments. But we did go to the same Preston kind of hangouts.
We were Tokyo Joe's and kind of, we did all
Squires as well, Squires.
Yeah, well, so that wasn't, I think that was probably a little bit
okay.
I think it was probably still big when I was there, but that wasn't on our rotation of nights out.
As we moved further up the
because you ended up at Durham University studying politics.
I did, yes. Yeah. So, small world.
So why politics?
I just think it's always been an interest. So I always feel like it's best to do things that you enjoy, and then hopefully you do well at them. Yeah. But most people that I read politics with, there's a few. I've got one of my friends is an MP now, but most of us went down the kind of legal route, became lawyers.
Or you end up as television presenters.
Oh, yeah. You did politics as well.
Yeah, I know, bizarrely.
Wow.
But I think it was a lot to do with we grew up in politics at home every day. Your life was very much affected by it. So
Absolutely.
I was fascinated by it. But weirdly, I switched halfway through because I was doing British and Irish, and then I switched and did American.
Yeah.
And I really, really loved it because I just didn't know anything about just how the election process works and all.
Absolutely.
I really, really
it's
enjoyed
complicated,
it.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Watching Donald Trump, then you'd have been excited.
Absolutely, honestly, I'm really fascinated by all of it.
Exactly, because it's a world that we live in as well, isn't it? And it's good to understand it.
Yeah, but politics was never going to be the thing at the end necessarily. It was just because of the interest of the system.
I think so. But I think, I don't know, football, it was in the end.
Was it football ever before you got into football and met your husband and found your way and your role within the club?
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like I've always been around sport. So my mum was a PE teacher in Lancashire, and I guess she was one of the first kind of female. Well, she had 6 sisters as well, a lot of female empowerment, she was always around men, kind of in her profession. There weren't many female PE teachers, and then I was always, because we went to school. I lived in Chorley. I went to school about an hour away, so she would be umpiring matches or going to, and I'd either be watching sport or playing it. So my aunties were athletes, so they ran for Great Britain. This was going back a while ago, not that hopefully they don't say that. And then my cousin, she plays netball for England. So I don't know, we've got sporty. I've always been interested in sport, always loved sport. But John bought the football club and I got dragged into it. And here I am, 15 years later.
Yeah, and a legal background as well, because you did your master's in legal studies, is that?
Yeah, professional legal practice.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like an add-on that you got with the LPC.
Yeah, a master's is not an add-on.
I could put the letters after the name. But no, it was that kind of education. My mum was always, make sure that you get a good education, work hard at whatever you do. I'd rather have been like a pop star, I think, or something like that.
Everybody wanted to be there, didn't they? That was
Madonna back in the day.
Whereas now it's influencers, and then when we were young, it was pop stars.
But it was fashion and beauty and things as well. Sort of a passion, certainly. In those kind of early university, post-university days. Wasn't
Exactly.
it?
Yeah. So I lived in London and worked for Gucci Group, who owned, Stella McCartney, Alexander McQueen, YSL, and so I've liked fashion all my life.
And I think that's what makes it interesting for me, because that's sort of the path that you'd taken, and then suddenly here you are at a football club. It's a complete shift in your life.
It was, it was a shift. It was horrible at times. John is from Mansfield, so he kind of rescued, I guess, his local football club, which was going into administration. So I was working for him, for his insurance company, One Call, and it was like an interesting project, but it was just so mismanaged. Like the football club and the stadium had been separated by the previous owner. It was there was no fans, basically. It was really on its knees. There was no business going through it whatsoever. So it was quite shocking to the things that we had to go through to get it to the place that it is today.
Because it was sold for £1, but I would imagine it's cost a lot more than that.
I think he was kind of missold, I'd say. But no, it was. It was. I just remember going in and there were people walking around with bin bags full of money, full of cash, and I'm like, well, what's in there? Thinking that and it was full of cash. And there was no processes or anything. It just been completely.
I mean, the chaos of it is what's coming across, and the lack of organisation and structure.
So. And I think that that's what football is as well. Like from the football club point of view, because you've got so many different aspects to it. It's not just the footballers on the pitch and the the entertainment purposes. There's like, you've got retail, you've got kitchens, you've got you know, restaurants, bars. There's just so many different aspects.
And this all came about because of it was almost like a passion project, really, to begin with,
well,
wasn't it? But for certainly you guys, and then to suddenly realise this isn't just passion. This is going to take a lot of money.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it was never. It's a kind thing. I think that. That we've done, in that really Mansfield is an area of deprivation within the UK. It isn't given the attention and perhaps the money and funding that it should have, and you kind of go around even now and things haven't changed for a lot of years. The training ground, which we didn't have before, even building that was like a 3-4 year project from a field to what we have today, and it's really impressive and, you know, something to be proud of. And children go through, there's thousands that go through every week playing football and getting them off the devices and going out and in the fresh air and doing something productive and healthy.
You must have really had to learn very quickly on the job. And just like you're staying there with all of these various elements that it takes to make any club work. How quickly did your feet hit the ground?
Well, I think that's it. I mean, none of us really, you don't really know what you're doing in anything that you do. You've got to start somewhere. So I think we learned quickly, and going back to the earlier years, that we had and even now we had fantastic people around, and we were kind of having a good time as well, and really, I think, enjoying it and enjoying, you know, the ups and the downs. And my mum cooking in the kitchen, and our manager at the time, his wife was helping behind the scenes.
Your mum was cooking. Like for who? For
the hospitality suites. I mean, I've literally, my husband knows how to make people work. Even now, you know, we know how everything runs in the place.
You go in at 29 years of age, and you're a female CEO at a football club in an industry which, but I appreciate from your point of view, you're like, I'm just going in to do a job, but I'm interested in the reception.
Well, this is it, because I think I wasn't aware of the titles or anything. I don't know if it was naivety. Well, it was. Going back more than 15 years ago now. It was a different place, and it was very male-dominated, and I think those jobs, and they even now are very fiercely guarded and protected by the people that hold those positions, and it's kind of like, who do you think you are? Who's this? Oh, this girl. So, but then you've got the opportunity then to prove people wrong, and just. I don't listen. I've got like my mum and my close friends, and that's it. And keep your head down and just work hard. And also I know that, you know, our main objective is from a place of, you know, we've got good hearts and we just want the best for the football club, and that's all we ever want to do, and do a good job.
Your naivety probably helped you, actually, because if you were a bit more aware about the task you're entering and the role and the fact that there are so few females working in football, you would have probably been terrified. Sometimes
I think so. I don't know if I could go through it again. You know, if you didn't know before. Even now, I think it definitely has an impact on, you know, self-esteem, and so, because people can be extremely mean. And
in what way, Carolyn? In what form did that take?
Well, all sorts of really anything horrible that you could say about somebody, I've had thrown at me. So because of the way that I look or sound, or I didn't have the experience. It was quite shocking and ferocious, and I would never treat people like that. So I think I'm quite not an emotional person, but I take things quite personally. I always want to do a good job. And so, it took quite a few years to kind of not be so scared and of kind of putting your head above the parapet and championing
and
women.
I think one of the things you said there is a really interesting thing about you, because you look fantastic and you are ultra feminine. And I think to go into that really masculine world, particularly when you're young, you can very easily be underestimated, because while men will respond to you in a certain way, in a business sense, they will definitely underestimate you. But equally, you can find that women are threatened by you in that circumstance as well. So maybe you don't necessarily have the support behind you that someone else might do.
And there wasn't many other women in the position
Yeah,
that you could call upon for advice.
And then if they are, then sometimes, like you said, they're not approachable, and especially because we were non-league as well. And then there's kind of the hierarchy structure of football. And so it's hard, you know, now that we've been around it a while, we kind of understand how the industry works. And but yeah, I think it's important now. There's all sorts of networks that you can join and that you can talk to. And to be honest, like my husband, he's my mentor, best friend. We're together all the time, and he's really guided me in all the decisions and things we make together. We're a team.
What about the fans? How were the fans with you when your husband first took over the club, you know, hoping that he was coming to rescue you, and you're there as part of the package?
It's like Ted Lasso, isn't it? I don't know. It took a while to kind of change people's opinions. They don't have to like me as a person, but know that I'm doing the best that I can do in the situation and making the right decisions, I think. Our fans have always been brilliant, and they're our army of Mansfield. But I think the thing with football is as well that then you're against the opposition,
the world's the audience, isn't
hate
it?
you, or you're playing, like, say for example, Notts County, or the local rivals
where it's really
and I get it, and I it's that banter kind of thing that you have to think about it as like a pantomime. And then I'm an easy target. Then I wouldn't like to look on some of the forums or anything like that.
By its nature, it's antagonistic. But actually, there are always lines that shouldn't be crossed, even within that. I think that process that you're talking about over those 15 years of going from being 29 and, as you say, probably quite naive to the world that you were going into to where you are now. I think anybody listening to this who's in that part of the journey, it will feel hard. And, you know, you've said you don't feel that you could go back and do that again. Yeah. But just tell me a bit about that process. What kept you going? What kind of, or how those changes felt for you?
I think you've got to be resilient, determined, and I'm not just throwing out the adjectives that people say, because that's the thing in life. Whatever it is that you're doing, you have to do it properly to the best of you, and you've got to work hard.
There is a lot going on, and as you said, generally speaking, and I think a lot of women will relate to the fact that you take on a lot of the responsibility at home as well as at work. But just in terms of you being able to deal with that work environment that was pretty hostile at the beginning, like how you, or what resources you drew on to kind of deal with that?
I think trying not to listen to people's opinions that you can't do anything about. I think you realise quite quickly that, you know, if, for example, if it's social media, don't read too widely, don't believe the hype, and don't get too upset should you come across negative things. So to try and keep measured and to make sure, I mean, I'm on the phone to my mum all the time, so she helps to kind of guide me through situations. In terms of business, I mean, I think I've never really reflected on how I've done it or anything, because it's just, I'm still in the moment and still just trying to do hour by hour and day by day of things. But I think not being a dictator, I think listening is really important, and knowing that you don't know it all, because you don't.
When you've had sort of, you know, negativity and when you've had criticism, when you've talked about those hard times, was there ever a point where you just thought, enough is enough, maybe I just step away, maybe I just let my other half carry on with this is just too much for me?
Yeah, every day. No, I think having the boys made it quite difficult in a way, but I had to channel it into a kind of, to make them proud.
And it's trying to find yourself in amongst all of that though too,
Yeah.
isn't it? Because suddenly you're one role and trying to do all of these things, then suddenly children, twins in the mix of all of that, which I can only imagine, and then suddenly it's like trying to blend different parts of life which is actually what I was sort of going to say, like how hands-on are you now within the club? Because obviously you've been there for a long time. You're hopefully trusting the people that are now around you in there. You're in a very different position. Your children are a bit more grown up now.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel now about the work-life balance almost?
Yeah, I mean, we're very busy all the time, so we have to have people in the roles to be able to do them. And leave them to it.
So you're getting calls about like when the players are injured, for instance, or
all the time.
There's a leak in the such and such.
But this is the thing, is that when it's yours as well, you're living and breathing it. It's not just something that you ever switch off from because it's your business.
Tell us about the foundation as well, though, Carolyn, because I knew that was very important to you.
Yeah. So, we've got the Radford Foundation, which is really to help people in Mansfield and young people to be able to go out and play sport and just to be able to give something back to the community. Yeah. So, and it could be a minibus that they need for the local scouts. So
and it's a very direct connection with the community, I think, as well, because you're actually genuinely answering a need.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It makes
so it's quite direct.
That's brilliant. Have you had specific kind of real highlights, really high moments?
Yeah.
Being part of the footballing world now.
Lots and lots. And even we're still so passionate about the club, whether we're winning on a match day, losing on a match day. I remember getting promoted the first time from non-league, which was really difficult, actually. That's probably one of the, it's hard to get promoted in whatever league, but... and I just found out I was pregnant with my eldest son at the time as well. So that was quite a special moment and the kind of fruits of the labour of the previous few years of getting us to that position. And then, last season we got promoted, which was great. And we had like an open top bus ride through the town and everybody was so happy and just seeing how important it is to
and how far you'd all come in that time.
Yeah, exactly, because it's not been overnight and it's not been easy.
And do you bicker over decisions or even down to the players or
yes.
do you actually, the two of you have major discussions and you would disagree and you're happy to hold your own?
Yeah, no, totally, we do. I mean, it's any good relationship. It's I'm definitely not shy of making my opinion known, but also I know that I'm not always right sometimes.
For God's sake, don't admit that publicly.
But no, there's been times like even down to changing managers. So I don't think it's healthy for the football club to change managers all the time.
I agree.
I think it's but it's true. It's
horrible.
You've got to be consistent though, because you spent all this time to make. It's going back to politics, isn't it? Sometimes things take years, don't they, to see the fruition of a policy that's been made 5 years before, or whatever. And you've got to give people time and players to develop. And it's such a complicated business, football. That all this flippant managerial merry-go-round or whatever, I just think. So we were in Portugal actually, and the manager at the time, we were almost getting promoted and then had just missed out. I think we needed 1 goal over about 3 games. And it was like, come on, surely. Anyway, it didn't happen. And then we had an discussion.
Heated debate,
yes.
Yeah.
And John was like, right, I'm going to sack them. And I was like, don't be ridiculous. I was like, just, and then it carried on. And then in the end, I was like, right, I'll just do what you want then, and walked out of the house and then went to the supermarket, and then my phone started pinging, and it had already gone out to the press that we'd sacked the manager. And he said, well, you told me I could do what you want. So I was like, well, that's,
I didn't mean
but
do
I
what
didn't
you want.
actually mean that. So, but this is, but he actually learned from that though. Afterwards, and now we're consistent with managers.
That's the tricky thing about working with someone that you're married to, is that all those emotions can come into play.
Do you have designated times where you don't talk work? Just for your actual marriage?
And then it's family. Yeah. And then it's the kids, and the kids have done something else. Yeah, we do well, actually, to be.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, do you have like a date night where it's like, we're not talking about anything other than like, you know, I don't actually what is left to talk about.
We're going to watch Love Island.
Yeah, the Bear Grylls we're watching, we binged on that. And then, because you've got to have that kind of escapism, or I just say, right, don't talk to me. I don't want to talk to you now, please. I want to go upstairs, have a shower, and listen to a podcast and chill. Please don't.
You're in a house full of boys, aren't you?
Oh,
so
I know.
Like... You've got your family relationships, your relationship with the husband. What's the relationship like with the manager? Sort of how often are you in discussion with Nigel, and how did that differ from other managers?
Yeah, I mean, they're all completely different. And I think Nigel's more like John, like a man of few words, like quite private. So the conversations are quite quick. It's like, hello, da-da-da. And then there's been other managers that have been a little bit more high maintenance, but fantastic as well. I think we had Steve Evans, who's such a character. I mean, people have their opinions, but I absolutely loved working with him, and he taught me a lot. We went to New York together as a couple with his wife. Just really funny.
I thought you meant Steve Evans. When there's a couple. I was thinking, do you want to take that bit out? Sorry, the four of you went away. But that's great when you can have those kind of personal and professional
But that's
sort of
important as well, you know, and to go through, because it is such an emotive industry that you have to have fun. You have to be with people that energize you and inspire you, and that you respect.
If you click, it definitely makes it easier.
It makes a difference because we enjoy it more as well.
But what about you've got those friendships, but then suddenly they're not the manager anymore, and then you've got that dynamic as well, haven't you?
Yeah, and I think, taking Steve for an example, I mean, you know, he broke our hearts. He went to go manage another club just as we were, you know, getting promoted. But then you learn from all these, instances as well.
Do you think about the legacy? Do you think about what Mansfield will be like in 10, 20, a generation's time?
Well, you've got to have that spirit and enthusiasm and want to go for shoot for the stars, isn't it? Or else why bother? It's a competition. Yeah. So, you know, look at Wrexham. They're the classic. And I remember them being non-league when we were as well. And it's great to see when people put energy into something, how far it can be taken. And, you know, Mansfield, John always likes to say he'd like to get it into the championship, but it's also got to be sustainable to make sure that it's a legacy, as you said, because there's also so many football clubs that are mismanaged. And you know, tragedy happens, and they are community hubs that have to be protected. But in terms of where we can take it, who knows? We just keep on, you know, keep doing as best as we possibly can.
And you still got that desire.
Still got that desire.
Drive to do that as well.
And John has as well. You know, so it's and now I've got my boys coming through. We want to make them proud as well.
Yeah.
And
Are they showing any kind of managerial
they all
kind
want to
of
be footballers.
CEO? Oh, so they are wanting to actually play as opposed to run?
Yeah, they're obsessed with football. Ask them any statistic. I should have them in my ear now.
Yeah.
In case you quiz me on football.
I'm so jealous of people like that. These two are like that, you see, and I'm not. Or Frank is like, 1982, that was 2-1.
No, everything.
I don't know what day.
I can't have.
I forget. Half the time. It's extraordinary.
Yeah.
It's real talent.
It is. Yeah.
What if like a mega bucks billionaire came in and wanted to buy Mansfield? How would you feel then?
I mean, you'd take the call.
I wouldn't even want to think about that.
Yeah, how do you feel about a lot of these Saudi owners coming in and Qataris buying football clubs and the Americans coming in? Because you're a lovely story of local man rescuing his local club.
Yeah.
I've got Middlesbrough in the northeast, and we've still got Steve Gibson who owns it, and we're really proud of that in that community.
Dad was at Blackburn when Jack Walker had bought them, and I think that's probably the last time that you're going to see a local businessman, no matter how successful they are,
I think it's changing.
Be able to buy a club and take them to a Premier League
and
title.
to sustain it, because
it's a different level.
It is a different level, and it's changed. It's changing every year, and it's the sustainability of it. You know, if you don't have a Netflix documentary or that kind of income to balance the books, it's impossible to compete with like Birmingham and Wrexham. And when we look at the figures that we get from the EFL and how teams are competing, you can see budgetary, what you get,
absolutely,
and whether you're,
it
we've done very
really
well.
strongly, doesn't it?
It does,
Yeah.
and we kind of have moments during this season where we were, overperforming. But then equally, you can have the best squad and the best, Wrexham have had consistency. They've stayed with the same manager, which is very important.
You want longevity. Fans want longevity.
They do. And they want to be able to see their team win on a Saturday and to be able to compete. So, we'd definitely partner up with...
it would depend.
Would depend.
If it was right for you.
If it was right for the football club.
Yes, I absolutely
I want to ask about just being a woman in this world and the position that you're in, because there aren't very many. We all kind of look to Karen Brady as that figure. Is she someone that you kind of look to as a role model, and what do you think about other females, and are you sort of drawn to them?
Yeah, I think it's important to, and it's great that the media champion women and make them visible and show them what they're doing, because I listen to podcasts, I listen to it's the way that you can kind of guide yourself and better yourself by learning about different people's experiences and how they've navigated their journey. But I think going back years ago, it was, you had to be wearing a tweed suit and be power dressing and be very strong. And that's fine, but I'm not like that. So I think I've found that I've got better results by being authentic and myself and not pretending to be somebody that I'm not.
You can be however you want to be, but if it's not really you, that's the thing. And there is the business world has been created by men over generations and centuries, and you don't have to be like that to be successful in that world.
And I think your job is guiding people as well, like not ripping them to pieces. So in terms of business, you wouldn't be like, right, get this done. Like, people don't want that, and I don't think they perform to being told how rubbish they are. In terms of format of what a woman should be like in business. Because,
and it's also a much more modern style of management, isn't it?
Yeah.
That kind of encouraging people rather than kind of, pushing them down to make them react to it.
I think it's more that than ever before, actually, weirdly.
But you did that, didn't you? Wasn't your Twitter bio for ages like tackling football in heels?
Tackling football in heels,
yeah. Because so you did it. You saw that kind of like that balance.
Why not? When I thought, is that a bit naff? And then my name was actually free. I thought, just be myself. Just be myself.
Yeah. All that time looking for a great name, you could have just put Hayley McQueen. It would have been there.
In our industry, I guess, in the world of media and television, sort of traditionally for years, we'll put a beautiful person in front of camera and being attractive goes for you. You're an attractive woman, a beautiful woman. Do you think that's gone against you in your industry, though?
You get to a point where you think, I don't care.
I think you get to a point in life, don't you, where I think we've talked about it on here before, where you become sort of neutral about how you look, rather than overly concerned or overly not bothered. You kind of get to a point where you go, well, I can be all of those things at different times. I can be a mum standing on the sideline in wellies, or I can be in a boardroom, or I can be sitting around a table chatting, or I can be out with the girls, you can be all those different people.
Yeah. But I think as women, we're never, I'm not like, oh my God, look how great I look. Yeah. We're always very self-critical.
Yeah. And if you did say that, other women would be furious with you.
Yeah. But I know I'm not like, oh God, I look great. And then, or you'll look back on something and think, oh, actually, I didn't look too bad. But in my head,
at that time,
I felt like I looked awful.
Yeah. Well, we all do that.
Yeah.
We all do that.
So that we shouldn't do that. We should just be.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to do yourself, Carolyn, away from football now? Have you anything very personal that you'd like to kind of achieve? You know, the boys are getting a bit older. The football's there. It's doing its thing.
I don't know. I think I'm kind of one of those people that takes opportunity now. I think as I'm getting older, I'm not as scared as I used to be of the world, and I think I'd like to continue, to make my boys proud, to obviously take the football club as far as it can be, but also to get involved in more ways to help and give back. I think that I'm in a position where I owe that not to the world or being dramatic or anything, but I just feel like I've got a lot to give to be able to help people, whatever that might be. I don't know. Become a pop star or something like that.
Still niggling in there, isn't it, Carolyn? You still want it.
Spice Girls need me.
There's still time. I'll tell you what, if you turned your hand to it, I wouldn't put it past you. Absolutely
I know.
Next year's Eurovision. We'll see you there.
Gosh, we just need one more. There we go.
That's it. That's it.
Carolyn, it's been lovely talking to you.
Oh,
thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.